Well, good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Let's get started.
Spokane County's primary election night is underway. All ballots had to be in by 8 o'clock tonight. So now we are waiting and watching as the early results are starting to come in. Let's
take a look at the first batch of results. There are 5 candidates vying for Spokane mayor, including incumbent Nadine Woodward. Here is a look at the results so far. At this hour, Lisa Brown, the challenger, leading right now with 47% of the vote. The next candidate up, 39%. That is the incumbent Nadine Woodward.
So just a reminder, this is the primary election, meaning the top 2 candidates from each race will be the ones to move on to the general election in November.
Another high-profile race we are keeping track of tonight is the race for Spokane City Council president.
We already know who is advancing to the general election in this race after candidate Andy Rathbun announced that he is dropping out of the race. So take a look. Kim Please and Betsy Wilkerson will both be on the ballot in November. Right now, the early returns showing Betsy Wilkerson with that 12% lead over Kim Please, both looking to replace former council president Brienne Beggs after he stepped down last month. He was recently appointed by Governor Jay Inslee to a judge position for Spokane County Superior Court.
We have team coverage tonight, taking you to watch parties across the county. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk is at Overbluff Cellars, where mayoral candidate Lisa Brown and city council president candidate Betsy Wilkerson are watching the results come in.
First, though, we want to turn to KREM 2's Amanda Rowley. She is joining us from incumbent Nadine Woodward's watch party, which is at Barrister Winery in downtown Spokane. Amanda?
Yeah, Mark and Whitney, the crowd gathered here at this election party for Nadine Woodward left tonight, despite the preliminary results, in pretty high spirits and optimistic about how things may play out in the general election. So right after those preliminary unofficial results came in, Woodward said she knew it would be a tight race, especially with those conservative votes split between her and Tim Archer. Now, going into the general election, Woodward told me she's hoping Tim Archer's supporters will help her get across the finish line in the race against Lisa Brown.
I believe that I will be able to pick up the votes that went to Tim Archer. I don't think that his supporters can get behind Lisa. And you know, when you have to split the vote in the primary, it kind of gives you an idea of the ground that you have to gain in the general election. And I believe that we can do that.
Now, Kim Please was also here tonight. She's running for Spokane's City Council president seat. Now, as you mentioned, Andy Rathbun had dropped out of the race earlier today. Tonight, he called Please and officially conceded, which is why right after those unofficial results came in tonight, Please said she was hoping her other opponent, Betsy Wilkerson, would concede as well so that she could get right to work. Take a listen.
Our city council needs to have new leadership. And, you know, I consider myself a leader. I've been a business owner for 32 years, and, you know, I'm looking forward to making my hometown an even better place to live.
All in all, the candidates here tonight left feeling positive about the road to the general election and eager to get to work. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Amanda, thank you very much. And also tonight, another mayoral candidate, Lisa Brown, celebrating a good night so far alongside City Council President candidate Betsy Wilkerson.
That's where we find KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk tonight. He spent the evening waiting and watching with the candidates to find out how they are feeling tonight. Kyle?
Well, yeah, Mark, tonight's watch party ended shortly after those results came in. People left here around 9, but they were leaving feeling very happy, very optimistic, seeing Lisa Brown leading in this mayoral primary and Betsy Wilkerson leading in the race for Spokane City Council president. Now, Brown says she has a better way to get Spokane moving forward again. Her priorities include increasing neighborhood safety, Spokane's housing supply, and building a regional coalition to address homelessness. Now, Brown spoke for about 12 minutes right after those results came in, and she spent a good amount of time going after Mayor Nadine Woodward, who she says has been an ineffective leader.
People want a compassionate and effective response to homelessness. Right now we have neither. People in Spokane believe you can help people and hold repeat offenders accountable. They believe we can support and respect law enforcement and first responders for the hard work and the personal risk they take, and that we can have accountability so that allegations of misconduct are investigated independently and all neighborhoods and communities get equal treatment, good response rates, and response times.
Now, Brown joined Councilwoman Betsy Wilkerson, who again is running for Spokane City Council president. She has many of the same priorities as Brown: public safety, homelessness, and housing, and prioritizing small businesses. She brought her grandkids on stage tonight and says they are what inspired her to make Spokane a better place.
So I am looking forward to partnering with Lisa. We don't get along all the time. Be real, we're two women. But that will not stand in our way for progress. I really believe Spokane is on the cusp of greatness. I mean, you can just feel it. We are so ready for our next chapter to move ahead. And with your support, we can do that.
And Brown and Wilkerson tonight reminding voters that if they didn't vote in this primary or didn't remember to get their ballots in, that they have a second chance to support them this November. Mark and Whitney.
All right, Kyle, thank you very much. Continuing now with results, let's take a look at Spokane City Council District 2. District 2 is for South Spokane. Right now, Paul Dillon is ahead right now, 41% of the vote. Then Katie Traylor is coming in with 33% of the vote. So if these results hold, it appears that Dillon and Traylor will move on to the general election coming up in November.
And looking at the race now for Council District 3, right now it looks like Kitty Klitsky is in the lead with 36% of the vote. In a rather distant second right now, Earl Moore with 22% of the vote. There are actually a total of 6 candidates on the ballot for this primary. Again, tonight, though, is to determine which of the top 2 candidates will move forward to the general election coming up in November. Now, in District 3, these candidates are looking to replace Karen Stratton, whose term ends this year. Another big item on the ballot tonight, Proposition 2 for the city of Airway Heights.
Voters will approve or reject a fire station and public facilities bond. So let's take a look at the results at this hour so far. So at least 60% of the voters must vote in favor for the bond for it to pass. Right now, it appears it is meeting and exceeding that threshold. 78% in favor right now, 22% opposed. So if voters approve this bond, the Airway Heights Fire Department will move into and renovate a new station to better serve the community. Well, our election coverage continues on KREM 2 Plus tonight. So for the latest results and all the stories we have brought you so far tonight, just download the app on Amazon Fire, Roku, or Apple TV.
And remember, for information about all of the candidates and the races, text the word VOTE to 509-448-2000. We'll send a link to our KREM 2 Voters Guide right to your phone.